Audiences were well accustomed to the usual format of Columbo by the time the season 2 finale rolled around. So when Double Shock begins with Martin Landau walking into his uncle's bathroom and killing him by dropping an electric mixer in the water, everyone thinks they know exactly where this is going. Columbo's going to show up, ask Landau a few questions, and eventually expose exactly how he, and only he, could have been the murderer. What a shock it is then when a second Martin Landau shows up. Yes, that's right, the actor is in fact playing identical twins in this episode, and now both Columbo and the audience is going to have to figure out which of the two brothers bumped off their dear old uncle. In the red corner, we have Dexter Paris, daytime TV chef beloved by housewives all over the country. He's charming, quick with a joke, but egotistical and playboyish, described by many as the family's lesser favorite son. In the blue corner, we have Norman Paris, a far stiffer and more pompous individual who makes big bucks as a banker. Making things even harder for Columbo is that the brothers are not on speaking terms. In fact, each is actively trying to convince the lieutenant that the other is guilty. Norman points out that Dexter was the only one to have been in the house on the night of the murder. Dexter reveals that Norman is a gambling addict in desperate need of a big payout, like say inheriting half of his wealthy uncle's estate. Season 2 threw several twists at us, which is really hard to say, but giving us the show's first real whodunit, an actual murder mystery, is by far the best one.
He suspects foul play from you. At the risk of being officious, Lieutenant, I think an autopsy might be a very, very good idea indeed.
The victim was Clifford Paris, an aging fitness fanatic. His body was moved from the bath where he died and placed in the downstairs gym, making it seem like he had a fatal heart attack while riding his exercise bike. He's found dead by his much younger fiancée, Lisa Chambers, played by Catwoman herself, Julie Newmar, and... Good lord! I'm sorry, I'm getting... distracted.
No, not at all. No, I enjoy watching.
Man, even Columbo's getting horny.
Well, why don't you come out here and I can hear you a little better?
Oh, fine.
And did you know that Newmar was 40 years old in this? I'll say it again. Good lord!
You make me very uncomfortable.
Lisa turns out to possibly stand in the way of the Paris brothers getting their hands on their uncle's money, as shortly before he died, Clifford drew up a will naming her as his sole beneficiary. However, the only copies of this new will are in possession of either Lisa or the family lawyer, Michael Hathaway. Hathaway basically blackmails Dexter and Norman into retaining him as their lawyer in return for him convincing Lisa to give up her copy so that he can destroy it. But crossing the Paris brothers was a big mistake, because when he arrives at Lisa's apartment, he finds her dead and gets arrested for her murder.
Sir, yes, which apartment you came from?
Yes, one of the Parises has struck again and set old Hathaway up to take the fall. Columbo's gonna have his hands full with this one.
I would tend to agree with that, sir, yes.
But nothing compares to his battle with the fastidious Mrs. Peck, played to perfection by Jeanette Nolan.
You're a bum!
A fearsomely fussy housekeeper is a natural enemy of the clumsy, shabby police lieutenant, and once he drops cigar ashes on her nice clean floor, their relationship never recovers.
You must belong in some pigsty.
Now, Columbo has faced psychotic surgeons, murderous military men, and killer chemical geniuses, to name but a few, but I think Mrs. Peck might just be the most testing opponent he has ever encountered.
You just tell the repair.
Ouch!
This will go right back. Yes, ma'am, I'm leaving. I'm
Ouch!
very happy to pay for this. Just send
Ouch!
Yes, ma'am, I'm going.
So much so that we even get a brief glimpse of a Columbo who is genuinely sorry for the way he is. Someone who has to profusely apologize for his actions in order to convince Mrs. Peck to let him continue his investigation.
Now, I'm sorry about being untidy. That's something that I can't control. That's a fault of mine that I don't know. I just can't correct that. And I've tried many years. I'm just very untidy. That's my nature.
We learn a little bit about how Columbo feels about how others perceive him and the things they say about him. And it's genuinely a little moving to see such an unknowable character lay his heart out so openly.
I'm a stranger in your house that you love, and I'm here to do something that's not very pleasant, so I don't expect you to like me, but I have feelings too, Mrs. Peck.
And as a bonus, it all ends with this wonderfully hilarious line.
I know that you're a very hard-working officer, and I would like to offer you a plate of Mr. Paris's favorite health cookies and a glass of milk.
Well, thank you. I'm extremely fond of health cookies.
Of course, in between all this, Martin Landau himself should be applauded for his dual performance as Norman and Dexter Paris. As I inferred earlier, the brothers are the polar opposite of one another, each in a way representing the two main kinds of Columbo killers, those that are flamboyant and those that are more conserved. Here Landau gets to play both types and he's perfect as both. He must have been having the time of his life getting to play two different sides in the same performance, and that sense of fun clearly spread to the other cast members and ultimately transcends onto the audience.
Come on.
Which brings me to the best part of the whole episode, in which Dexter invites Columbo onto his cooking show as a guest. What ensues is an uproariously funny cooking sequence that was almost entirely improvised by Landau and Falk, who are clearly having an absolute ball.
Can't you say anything else, Lieutenant? I think that's great.
It's downright impossible to watch this scene and not smile.
Now a little dash of salt.
Oh. Gee, I'm getting to enjoy this.
I know. A little pepper.
So, who done it? I mean, that's what you really want to know, right?
Well, yes.
Which brother is the killer? Is it Martin Landau or is it Martin Landau? Well, it's Martin Landau. Both of them. Yes, would you believe Dexter and Norman were in it together from the start. When Clifford got the shock of his life, or maybe that should be his death, the power in the house briefly went out for a period of what Mrs. Peck recalls to be about 15 seconds. However, Columbo, with the help of a stopwatch, proves that it's impossible to get from the bathroom to the fuse box in less than a minute, meaning a second person had to be lying in wait to immediately repair the fuse. Additionally, it's just as impossible for one person to have lifted Clifford's slippery cadaver out of the bath, dried and dressed him, and moved his body to the downstairs gym.
Do you intend to demonstrate drowning yourself for us, Lieutenant?
The final nail in the coffin is that despite claiming not to be speaking to each other, phone records reveal that the brothers have talked on the phone as much as 20 times in the past 10 days.
Stop it!
It's all right, Mrs. Peck. What's done is done. What's obvious is obvious.
As gotchas go, this one's quite simple, but it's the twist of both brothers being guilty that makes it memorable, not to mention the beautiful final moment where Columbo comforts a devastated Mrs. Peck. That's genuinely sweet. Double Shock is an outstanding episode, and would easily be the best one of Season 2 had A Stitch in Crime not also aired the same season.
Shut up!
While many love it because of its mystery premise, and I do too, we can't forget that it also contains all the hallmarks of a classic Columbo adventure.
Don't you agree?
Smug yet charismatic villains getting their comeuppance, an elaborately staged murder plot, terrific lead performances from Falk and the guest star.
You amuse me, Lieutenant. Oh, please forgive me.
And memorable side characters. I suppose this shouldn't be surprising considering the caliber of talent working behind the scenes on this one. This was the only episode to be collaborated on by Stephen Bochco, Jackson Gillis, and William Link and Richard Levinson themselves. A Columbo dream team if there ever was one.
That's very good for a job well done.
This was actually also the last episode that Link and Levinson actually wrote for at all. After this, they'd passed the reins of their most famous creation to other writers and producers while they moved on to other projects. And we'll see how this new blood fared when the Columbo episode guide returns with Season 3.